It's difficult to go out into a community and try to protect and serve others when your own property and everything that you've worked for is burning down. But that's what these men and women have done for the last 24 hours.
That's Fire Chief Greg Miller talking about the fires in Gatlinburg, in the heart of a beloved area for tourists and Tennesseans alike. People still assessing the damage at this hour after a night firefighters and those there will never forget. Good evening, everyone. It's a sight unlike any we've seen here in Tennessee. The fire chief today called it one for the history books. Tonight, we know 3 people were killed in those fires, dozens of homes and businesses destroyed, some well known to you and your families. News Channel 5's Chris Conti is live in Gatlinburg tonight. And Chris, I know you just heard from Governor Haslam.
Yeah, Rory, the loss here is profound. The heartbreak is setting in and the smoke is everywhere. Fires across the Smoky Mountains are still burning right now. Even though darkness has started to set in, they are still worried about flare-ups across here tonight. But what we have just learned within the last hour is that those fires, which have taken so much across this county, have also taken 3 lives, although officials still don't know who those 3 people were who perished last night. Tonight across Gatlinburg, a curfew is now in effect. No one is allowed out in the streets after 6 p.m. And we learned from fire officials here just a short time ago that nearly 150 structures have burned to the ground. One of those belonged to the mayor of Gatlinburg. Fire crews from across the state here right now are battling a number of home fires that are still engulfed. So if the wind picks up here again tonight, it could be another devastating evening here across East Tennessee. 2,000 people are in shelters, and a short time ago, Governor Haslam saw firsthand what these fires have taken.
It happened so fast, it was staggering. You know, when you've got wind up to 87 miles an hour pushing fire, I mean, people were basically running for their lives. And the structures that have been damaged, a lot of them up on Greystone Heights where I live, there's nothing left but a foundation.
There are emergency personnel from across the entire state here, including the National Guard. Those helicopters belong to Governor Haslam, who came here just a short time ago to assess the damage for himself. One of the biggest, most pressing issues out here for firefighters is that there are still a number of roads and side streets that they haven't been able to get up because they are still too treacherous, covered in debris. Power lines are down, so there is a possibility, officials acknowledged a short time ago, that there could be other people up there who have lost their lives, although they have not said whether or not anyone else is still missing. 150 structures have been destroyed in these wildfires, some of them homes, some of them are businesses. Livelihoods across this area have been lost, although most people still don't know it tonight because they haven't been allowed back home. The biggest concern up here in Sevier County this evening is going to be the wind. We are live from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Chris Conti, News Channel 5. Rory, back.
All right, Chris, thank you for that update. Now, many homeowners are still unable to go back to their homes because of the fires. Crews are working to clear roads. News Channel 5's Matthew Torres is there. He learned some were lucky to go back, but Matthew, it's just not the same, is it?
It really isn't, and it's something that people are now having to go through and accept the reality of things. We spoke to some people who said they just could not accept things. It feels like a nightmare to them. And so for this particular homeowner, the owner of what used to be this home, it was definitely a swift evacuation. We were talking about a minute for her to grab everything she can and then escape. And let me tell you, that really wasn't much of everything. And as you can see just behind me, she avoided a potentially deadly situation. And by the time she got out of her house and down the hill, the flames already consumed the pathway, and it could have been killed her at that moment. Now, that's exactly what we've seen through many social media posts as the flames crawled its way to homes and businesses. As a result, about 14,000 people evacuated from Gatlinburg alone. At least 2,000 of them stayed at the evacuation centers through Red Cross or churches. And tonight, most of them will remain open as long as they are needed. Officials are still assessing the damage, so it's hard to determine right away how many acres were burned. Nearly half of the evacuees from at least one center were tourists with the option of simply leaving. But for those who call this county home, the wildfires remain heavy on their hearts.
This is our life here. These are our mountains. God gave them to us to use and to enjoy. And to see it happen like this is just, it's terrible.
Now, the shelters provide medical attention, cots for people to sleep on, as well as food. Aside from the 3 fatalities that we heard earlier today in the press conference, 12 other people, or 14 other people, were taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Reporting live in Pigeon Forge, Matthew Torres, News Channel 5.
Matthew, thanks. Those fires burned to the edge of Dollywood theme park, but it escaped damage. Dolly spoke out today saying, quote, "I have been watching the terrible fires in the Great Smoky Mountains and I am heartbroken." She went on, "I am praying for all the families affected by the fire and the firefighters who are working so hard to keep everyone safe. It is a blessing that my Dollywood theme park, the Dreammore Resort, and so many businesses in Pigeon Forge have been spared." The Knoxville News Sentinel reports more than 50 Dollywood employees worked alongside firefighters to protect that property from fire.